Thank you very much. So I'm delighted to be joined by Nick Davies, Directors of Solution Engineering at Delivery Solutions, for just a friendly discussion about sustainability and an omni-channel ecosystem. Very easy question to start with. Who are you and who are Delivery Solutions?
So thank you, Katie. It's good to be here with you. My name is Nick Davies, Director of Solution Engineering. I've been in the telematics and the fleet management world for 10 plus years. And Delivery Solutions is a company that's really focused on the omni-channel experience for retailers. So I have a nice little slide here that we can show up. But essentially, we help companies from end to end offer solutions of how to get products out to their end customers in the ways that their customers want to receive those products, whether that's same day, whether that's shipped from store, whether that is shipped from a warehouse. We also handle post-purchase and return. So really holistic solution. So hopefully that helps answer your question a bit.
It does indeed.
Yes.
So a hot topic for this conference, this event as a whole, is sustainability.
Yeah.
Consumers are demanding it. Retailers are attempting to be more green. It cannot be done in a silo. Everything is about collaboration and partnerships.
Yeah.
How does a company like Delivery Solutions get involved in that process, and what do you offer?
Yeah, so one of the nice things about our company is, as retailers want to integrate in and use a lot of different shippers and providers and couriers, they connect to us, and then we connect out to everyone, which means we have a really wide network of carriers in dozens of countries that can support all type of deliveries, including eco-friendly deliveries. So one of the values is if a retailer really wants to focus on an eco-friendly delivery, they can offer that in specific regions. They can filter their orders directly to those carriers that can service it in a way that their customers are asking for. Because we are seeing that the end customer is extremely conscious about wanting to make sure that comes in an eco-friendly way. So we have ways of routing orders specifically to the right carriers that can support that sort of initiative.
You've mentioned the omni-channel experience and controlling that. It's not simply about physical stores versus e-commerce. It is mixing the two.
Yes.
And that might be complex if you're trying to be greener.
It can, but what we're seeing is there are a lot of retailers that are moving away from the warehouse model to more of a ship to store. The goods are closer to the customer. We can deliver it out in more eco-friendly ways. More electric vehicles can handle that last mile, that short distance, than a transport vehicle that needs to take it from a warehouse to a local center. So we're seeing a lot more of moving it to a ship from store sort of model, so that can be an eco-friendly way to get out to the end customer. That good is closer, so the end customer benefits from that as well. But they're able to support electric vehicles and all that in a better way, because those are more of your short distance, your short haul sort of scenarios.
Is there inventory and stock challenges with a ship from store model though?
There can be, but those. So what the nice thing about having an omni-channel experience is that we can support items that need to be shipped from a store and from a warehouse together, and really give us a unified experience for the end customer to be able to track their order regardless of where it's come from. So an inventory issue can absolutely be a concern. However, we help make the OMS smarter to understand where that inventory is, to then know what ways we can deliver those goods to the end customer.
And sticking with an OMS, how critical is technology, and technology that is innovative at this time?
Yeah. So having technology that's scalable across an entire platform. So, before we, kind of in a previous world, retailers would have a lot of different type of softwares and solutions, and would have to try to find ways to connect them together. Some may be legacy, some may be home built, but trying to have a holistic experience or a holistic tech stack is a really hard challenge. So having new innovative technology that can all work together or unify a lot of these different softwares that retailers are used to having into one platform is really critical, because then everything is designed to work together. So we can take inventory and know where the orders are and what type of delivery the customer is asking for and what time that a carrier can actually deliver that to the end customer. And we can put that all together and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, like, here's how much it's going to cost for that delivery. If that item needs to come back, that experience is already built out of, let's pick up that item from your customer's home. Let's offer to have them return it to the stores, have them keep the item, which actually is a big thing for kind of an eco-friendly sort of way, is how do we get returns back from a customer, effectively. And some, we see retailers saying, hey, I want to have goods returned to my store because it's closer. I may want the customer to keep the item because it's not worth the cost or the carbon footprint for us to get that item back. It's a low cost item. Or third, hey, if I'm an apparel company, maybe I want to reroute that good that was returned to a donation center or some sort of resale outlet or something like that. So a lot of eco-friendly ways that we can help retailers from the return side as well.
The returns element could have a whole presentation.
It's huge
by itself. And retailers can no longer be sending goods to landfill. They can no longer have redundant stock, filling up potentially quite busy warehouse spaces anyway. Is that returning it to store, bringing it straight back into the supply chain, going to streamline that process a little bit?
It does. So returns, you're absolutely right. How do I get this back in a very low cost way? Because some retailers are charging for returns, some offer free returns, right? So I want to get this back in a low cost way, but I need to get it back quickly, because the faster I can turn around and resell that item, I can recognize the revenue again. So yes, returning to stores, having home pickup instead of waiting for that customer to get to the post office or the local store to ship that out. I want to go pick that up from your house, so I get that back faster. We see that especially in larger, what we call big and bulky sort of items. If I ordered a big box fan or even a chair, I may not want to be able to return that, put it in the box and send it back. I want someone to come pick that up and get it back, so I can recognize that revenue faster.
And does that also then give the retailer visibility of that returns journey?
Not only does it give the retailer, it gives the end customer as well. So the end customer would be able to say, yes, item's been picked up, or I've sent it to the store to be shipped off. The retailer has received the item. Now I'm ready for my my refund or exchange or whatever it is. So yes, the retailer gets that, but also the end customer. So they really see the end journey to ensure that the item that they're returning gets back, because most of the time that is it's a black hole for the end customer. I shipped it off, but I don't know what happened to my return after that, and I'm just waiting to check my bank statement until I get the money back, and that's just not a good experience.
It is not a good experience, and we're going to stick with customer experience there, because you've got post-purchase on this lovely little moving diagram.
Yeah, and I'm going to move actually a little bit further into our into post-purchase. Yeah,
excellent. Nice transition there on the slides.
Yeah.
Post-purchase is becoming, well, it's always been important, but it's something retailers are really looking at, because customer expectations are so much higher.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned communication during the returns process. Communication is critical at this stage.
Yes. So one problem that we see a lot from retailers, especially those that use multi carriers. So I use more than one shipper. I use more than one carrier to have goods sent out to my customers. It's a different tracking experience for every carrier that I use. So they may get a DHL link one day. They may get a UPS link another day. They may get a DDP link a third day. Whatever their next order is, because I use multiple shippers. So we unify that experience. So we take the tracking information from each of those carriers, we put it into a branded page for the retailer. So it's a very, very consistent experience for the end customer. I know that this retailer is giving me my goods. I don't necessarily care about who is delivering it to my house. I just want to make sure it's going to get to me, right? And so we'll take those experiences and put it as a unified tracking page. And that can be whether it's, hey, I'm going to come pick this up from the store. Click and collect is extremely popular. So if I'm going to pick this up from the store, if it's going to be shipped to me, if it's going to go to a locker system or something like that, it's all going to look very consistent. We also, as you can see here, we highlight also the carbon footprint. So if this is some sort of eco-friendly delivery, we'll show the carbon savings because this was a hybrid vehicle or electric vehicle for this delivery. And customers feel good about understanding that the retailer is conscious about that and showing them the savings from that particular delivery itself.
We've all seen those little green leaf icons.
Yeah, they're everywhere now. Yeah. Yeah.
But you say you actually detail the carbon save. So you're going further than just a little green leaf icon.
We're going further than that. Yeah. So there are certain carriers that we are able to get based on the vehicle, the distance that it's traveling to get from wherever the pickup location is, the store, the warehouse, the distribution center, to the customer, that distance travel, the type of vehicle it is, and what the savings, so what the carbon footprint savings is for that particular order. So that number is going to change depending on, who's delivering the good, when it gets to my house, all that sort of thing.
And coming back to the collection point, that is a key way to drive sustainability, because
without a doubt,
you're missing out on sort of failed deliveries as well.
Yes.
But are we still seeing sticking points around consumers actually switching to collection because they still see home delivery as a bit of a luxury?
They do see home delivery a little bit as a luxury. What we see is the end customer wants options. They want to be able to get the goods in the way that best suits them. So maybe that is a home delivery, but there are certain items I don't want delivered to my house if I'm not there. I don't want it left on my doorstep. I don't want it left in the mail room. I want to be able to be there, and that may not be possible. So if I have a locker that's close to my work, or as I go to the gym or the grocery store, something that I can go pick up while I'm going about my day-to-day life, that's another convenience option for end customer. And so we work with locker companies that may be just outside of a retailer's building. I don't want to walk into the store and do it. Just I want to go get the locker, scan the code, get my item. And we work with locker systems that are just scattered throughout the city, so that you could say, hey, I'm going to go grocery store and this item's being delivered from a whole nother retailer, but I'm already going to be there. Might as well pick up my item while I'm there.
Convenient and sustainable.
Yes,
all
because
in one.
It saves you a trip, right? So if I can go to one place that I'm already going to go and save myself another trip, that's less carbon emissions on the road.
It's also great from a carrier point of view because they can do multiple drops at one site and are not idling in a cul-de-sac or diesel vans clogging up apartment block entrances.
Yeah. One of the biggest causes of carbon emissions is vehicle idling. So, that delivery vehicle that's idling, stopping at all the stoplights within a residential area, or the stop signs, to bring that to my house, like that's a lot of carbon emissions. So if I can reduce that by, having multiple deliveries from multiple retailers possibly into a single locker system that's, outside of a building, it saves a lot from a carbon standpoint.
And this seems like it's a network of collaborators, whether it's the retailers, the carriers.
Yeah.
Is it a network that's still developing? Is there any issues and challenges over locker deployment?
Yeah, the locker deployment is still a fairly new invention. So we're seeing a lot more and need around like refrigerated lockers if I'm doing grocery drop off or things like that. So that footprint still needs to grow, but I think it's going to get there, especially in more urban areas.
We've touched on it already, but just to get some more clarity around how important technology is to this journey. AI, machine vision, machine learning, whatever the next development is, it is going to help both retailers and carriers streamline this process, isn't it?
It will, yes. So machine learning in particular, especially in this world, is extremely important, more so than AI, because what we want to do is take all the past performances of carriers, of deliveries, of the carbon emissions that are coming out of those vehicles, and predict what's going to happen for that next delivery. So if I can say, hey, this carrier, given all this different parameters that we are aware of, is going to be late for this delivery, it's going to take 10 minutes longer. Well, that's going to be extra time on the road that maybe we don't want to handle, either from an end customer standpoint because they want to get their goods faster, but also just from a carbon emission standpoint. So I'm going to reroute that to another carrier that maybe doesn't have as many orders, or I know is going to perform a little bit better. So we can take all that past performance and predict what's going to happen for the next delivery. And we do that through machine learning across all of our retailers that work with us, so that we can predict it for like I said, that next delivery that a particular person is going to make.
Making informed decisions is going to be increasingly important as we continue to go through a challenging year with record high inflation.
Yeah.
Retailers have previously had to deal with supply chain issues. We had the global pandemic. Does that sadly sometimes mean the sustainability element and the green goals fall further down the to-do list because retailers and carriers are spinning so many plates?
Yeah, I don't know if those initiatives are falling a little bit down. What we're seeing is that retailers may hone back on the number of options they're giving to their end customer, or they're providing that flexibility more for rewards customers or high value customers, more so than a guest checkout or someone who is a first time customer. So we're seeing a lot more of, hey, we want to know who our VIP customers are, our reward subscription customers, whatever that is, because we're going to offer them more flexibility, and we're going to limit the amount of options for a standard checkout because we want to make sure that we're being conscious of cost. And so maybe that means I'm going to start charging for deliveries, I'm going to start charging for returns, and as delivery solutions, we can do that through really complex business rules, and to say, hey, if it's this type of order, I'm going to charge for the return, to really incentivize behavior on the end customer. If you're going to return it to my store, that's going to be a free sort of return for you. But if you're going to ship that back, we're going to charge a percentage of the order, or a flat fee or something like that, to drive behavior back to the stores versus shipping. So that's what we're seeing more is I'm going to limit or start charge for certain options to drive certain customer behavior that we want to see.
And through these loyalty programs, these subscription services, can retailers and carriers learn about their customer more and almost predict pain points, whether in sustainability or returns and other issues that may come up?
Yeah. So this is where the machine learning comes in really well. And from a return standpoint, yes, understanding why customers are returning the items, how they want to return those items, that's all extremely important information that we help retailers understand from their customers. But understanding market demand and demand patterns from the customers, from a delivery standpoint as well. That's another thing that we help with from our dashboards and reporting within our platform. But yes, we're seeing that especially around, like I said, demand. Where are customers asking for services that we don't currently provide? And maybe that's I only ship from this area and people are asking for same day delivery. Or this is a market that we just don't have any sort of presence in, and people are typing in their postal code and wanting to know if we have a store in the area and we don't. That sort of thing we can report on for the retailer to really understand where is the effective way to grow my business.
Coming back to that same day delivery point, fast delivery, rapid delivery, instant delivery, whatever you want to call it, is becoming increasingly popular with the consumers.
It is.
I would quite like a foundation in 15 minutes or whatever. Is the rolling out of rapid delivery going to be an issue for the sustainability side? Is the speed going to take away from the greenness of the delivery?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And it's something that we're still looking at to see exactly how that's going to play out. Our initial information is no, because, like I said, I can route those to a specific carrier that supports an EV vehicle. So if you're asking for a next day delivery, I'll send that to carriers that support it. But if I'm going to offer same day, especially in an urban area, I'm only going to send that to a carrier who can support my green initiatives. And so within the business rules that our retailers can set up through delivery solutions, they can route orders a very, very specific way. We send every order through this orchestration engine to understand the order itself and which path it should go. So what we're seeing is I can actually drive that behavior more so with same day, because a lot of the gig providers, we can just pass to them, hey, this order needs to be delivered with an eco-friendly vehicle, and they will dispatch that, or a bike or something like that as well. Bike deliveries are extremely popular as well.
The bike deliveries and the urban point is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Not everybody lives in a city.
No.
I'm 35 minutes outside London in the nice green countryside.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to get a bike delivery for something. I don't even know if we have electric vehicle charging infrastructure for our delivery vans. Is there a lot to be done for the people that still live in rural communities who do want to shop sustainably?
More options are going to come in the future as more EV vehicles, in particular with larger ranges, become available. So right now we're seeing retailers, hey, I'm going to solve the 70% of my orders that are in urban industrial areas, the 30% that are out in rural areas. There's not much we can do today, but we want to solve that down the road. So it's really about, and through our engine, we'll tell them exactly where that order is coming from and what type of delivery it's going to be. So if it is in urban, I'm going to do everything I can to make that eco-friendly. If they're out in the countryside, it may not be possible, but I'm still going to try to group orders together to reduce the number of trips that are taken out there and all that kind of stuff. If we can reduce one-off trips and combine some together, that always is a savings for more rural and countryside deliveries.
Now for the serious questions, I am going to open it up to our audience. There is a member of staff with a microphone, and we do have earphones so we can hear you.
Let me get mine here.
If you just bear with us a second while we pop these on. They look great, I know. Does anybody... Oh, lady in the...
Yes, hi, great presentation.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I had a question about the carriers, because you said you rely a bit on them providing information to know, for example, the carbon footprint of the delivery, what vehicle is used. How open are they to providing this information to you? Do you have any data challenges and gaps in these models also?
Of course we do. We connect to over... Sorry, I have to take that off so I don't hear myself. It's really awkward to hear yourself. So we work with over 150 to 200 carriers. We cannot always get the same information from all of them. So we do what we can, and we have good relationships with them where we're kind of urging them to provide more of that data through APIs to us so that we can offer this through more and more carriers. But we have some really great partners that we send millions of orders through that provide this information. It's but they have to improve some of their tech stack as well. But we're working with them on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions from the audience? Yep, gentleman in the red hoodie. Making a run, sorry.
Thank you for the presentation. Mike from Grover.com. I have two questions. First one, you focused a little bit on choosing the right carrier and the right pickup service on the returns. And I was wondering, do you also have a solution where the customer can choose the carrier that they prefer? Surveying our own customers at Grover, we realized that they would like to have this option to have the multi-carrier checkout where they can cover an additional cost if they can choose the carrier that they prefer. And what do you think about that? Like, what's your...
Yeah. Sorry, I missed some of that, but I think I got the gist of what you're saying. So, can a end customer choose their carrier that they go? Yes, it's possible. So within our solution, we have something that's called Smart Windows, and you can set that up based on certain providers, certain type of deliveries. So maybe it's based on reward customers are going to have more options for the time that gets delivered, especially on the same day side. Or I have a certain time of day that my EV vehicles are running. I need them to run in the morning, then I need them to charge up, and they're going to run in the afternoon. So there's going to be a couple different slots. Customers can choose that, and those can be routed to certain carriers. So yes, you can say, hey, I know that carrier A supports the initiatives that I as an end customer care about. As long as the retailer supports that carrier, that can be surfaced up on the e-commerce site through our platform to say, yes, we want to choose that carrier because they support the goals that I'm interested in.
Thanks. I have a second question.
Yeah.
Having such a platform that covers the entire supply chain and controls everything, that's great. You have one centralized place where you can manage your orders, your shipments, everything. I mean, that's the ideal situation, right?
Yeah.
But for a new company, like a prospect for you, a new customer, how would you tackle that objection that maybe they already have certain systems, they need to to take out one of their partners to replace it with a new one that comes with tech integrations and so on.
Yeah.
How would you tackle this with your customers? And then the second part of that question is, how do you tackle the price for a small company that wants to start strong with the right tools and everything and not just go, little by little?
Yeah. So it's extremely rare for a retailer to implement everything that we do all at once. That's just too big of a problem to tackle at once, given the tech resources on the retailer side. So usually there is an initial problem that they're looking to solve. Hey, I need to fix my post-purchase. I need to have a unified experience, or we're losing a lot of money on returns. We need to solve that problem today. This is a very modularized system, so they can just use our returns module today, and then down the road, let's add something else to it. Because once it's one API connection into us, once that's done, we can just turn these on, but that's gonna take a little bit of work to all that. So you don't have to use everything all at once. That's a lot to do. That's a big change within a business. So we focus on one area at a time, and then the retailer grows their services with us. So, and then for small businesses, we're priced based on number of orders, essentially. So a small retailer that really cares about this, we price it effectively for a smaller retailer versus a large enterprise retail.
Any more questions from the audience? There's two things on this slide that we didn't quite touch on during our little chat, so let's come back to them. Firstly, shipping from DC, and then we'll touch on curbside, because we didn't get...
We didn't, yeah. So, ship from DC, like I said, we're seeing a lot more retailers move away from a DC model to a ship from store. However, there still is great value in a DC. I can have everything, centralized, and it's very much a way that I can control all my inventory all at once. So same thing, we help retailers understand, especially from a shipper standpoint, an international shipping, customs, all that sort of stuff. We help say, hey, here's the best carrier to take this particular order from the DC. And if I can, like I said, group orders together to help save on the number of shipments going, out through that my DC, I'm going to do that. But we'll surface up the labels and all that kind of stuff that these carriers are providing.
The DCs themselves are becoming sustainable. Just the sheer size of them means they can implement technology such as solar panel, and they're putting in smart lighting. So there is actually a real opportunity in these existing warehouses to become sustainable.
Yeah, there absolutely is. We also are seeing retailers say, hey, I'm getting more efficient in my warehouse, and so now I have extra space. So maybe I'm going to rent out part of my warehouse or something like that for additional revenue, and so the cooling and all that kind of stuff does not go to waste. So there's a lot of opportunities there for retailers. From a curbside, that's something we see quite common in the United States. In Europe, more of a click and collect. I'm going to come into the retailer or use a locker system. But curbside is extremely important because we'll also surface up where the customer is. So as the customer is saying, can on the retailer's mobile application say, hey, I'm on my way. We'll track the customer. So and the retailer will get notifications. Hey, the customer's nearby. The customer has arrived. So then we can bring the order out to you. As soon as you arrive, you're there waiting. You're not idling your car. You're not having to get out. So from a quick standpoint and from a carbon footprint standpoint of not idling, waiting for 20 minutes until someone realizes I'm here, or having to dial a phone number to say, and say I'm in spot 13, retailers will have that proactive approach.
There's no control over the consumer's vehicle, though, so
there is not.
There's a challenge there.
There is, but that's why knowing when the customer arrives is extremely important, and that's why we have a nearby notification as well as an arrived. An arrived can be one of these 4 spots that I've dedicated for curbside. But if they're nearby, I can be out and ready to meet them there. But yes, we don't have control over what vehicle an end consumer comes and picks up, whether it's a large diesel a truck, or whether it's a Tesla. Like that's on the consumer side, but if we can help get the item out to them faster so they're not sitting there waiting, and maybe if it's a hot summer day, they're idling because they want air conditioning. If we can prevent that by getting the item out to them sooner, we can kind of do a little bit of our part.
Is there any questions from audience? We'll stick with curbside then and its opportunity for returns.
Yes.
It's not just a case of picking up. Is there an opportunity to return things to store from curbside, or is that a bit of a waste of resources?
Yeah, we're not really seeing much of a demand for returns to be then picked up from the curbside. We're seeing a lot of returns that want to be returned to the store, but a lot of retailers want to still drive that foot traffic into their retail location. Because if I could get a return and maybe exchange it for something right away that's here in my store, as opposed to just a pure refund, I want to do that. So curbside is extremely important. We're seeing home pickup for returns being important, but not necessarily curbside for returns being in much demand. If we see that demand picking up, we'll offer that as a returns method within our platform.
If it is big and bulky, though, you do not want to be taking that back into a store.
No. So that's why knowing what type of item is being returned is extremely important. So based on the order attributes, we can dynamically show the customer what return options are available to them. So if it is, let's say, a couch that I had shipped to me, it doesn't fit in my space, I don't like it. Yeah, I don't want that returned to the store, and so I'm not going to show that option to the end customer. More importantly, the end customer may not be able to get that couch to my store, so that's where the home pickup becomes extremely important. So we're working with our carriers to really offer just return logistics. I'm going to pick this up instead of picking up from a warehouse and delivering it to the customer, I'm going to pick it up from the customer and deliver it back to the warehouse. And so that is extremely important when it comes to big and bulky items.
The options, you mentioned options there, and we did have a question about offering consumers as many options as possible.
Yeah.
And the choice of courier, say they want to avoid one they've had a negative experience with.
Absolutely.
Does that choice, whether it's for sustainability or customer experience, complicate things at a platform end?
It doesn't at all, because we give the retailers the choice, and if they are having a bad experience with a certain provider and they need to use a different one, it's extremely easy to set that up in our system. They put in credentials, they hit update, they're off and running with a new provider. So and you mentioned experience with these providers. It's important the retailer's experience. It's also important the end customer's experience with the that carrier partner as well, right? So through our tracking pages that I showed previously, we have a feedback option. So retailers will be able to see, so end customers can rate their delivery. The retailers will see that, and they can see that very granularly. Hey, from this location or in this geographical area on this provider, these are our ratings. So if a provider is offering great deliveries, a good experience for the end customer, I'm going to reward them and give them more orders. If one is not doing so well, I'm going to reduce the number of orders I send to them and light up someone else and use another carrier or start routing in a different way. So all that information is available and extremely flexible to pivot as I need to. So it's not a big challenge to have to solve.
Having that flexibility and the agility to change across multiple carriers, it's got to be a given for sustainability and for experience now.
It is. And so we want, because, like I said, we really want to help retailers move from a single delivery partner to multi, because the more options you have, the better you can meet your sustainability goals. Because, carriers are going to operate differently in different geographical areas. They're going to have different demand patterns. Things are going to change. And so we really want to give the options, because that's going to help better suit the goals I have as a company around sustainability.
Any questions from the audience? Is there any points that you really want to stress that we maybe haven't touched on, that haven't come up either through my questions or our lovely audience questions, that you just want to drive home before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just one last point, kind of bring it home a little bit. So really, through Delivery Solutions, through the entire customer journey, from a pre-purchase to a checkout to a post-purchase perspective, we can help with sustainability. So we can show delivery options available to a customer to really make sure that they meet certain goals, dynamic windows of delivery. So as I said, we want to offer green delivery from these certain times and let retailers choose it. And there's capacity limits and all that. So I make sure I can actually pick and pack those orders in time. So even before a customer checks out from a retailer's e-commerce site, we can have sustainability in mind. Choosing the provider and how we're going to split orders around to have some come from a store and from a DC to really serve the end customer can work work with sustainability, which provider we choose for that order for it to be sustainable, and then being able to show the carbon footprint through the customer notifications and all that kind of stuff. So from a very holistic perspective, we can really have sustainability at the front and center for a retailer's experience.
Real end to end.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, massive thank you to Nick Davies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.